only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole is getting ready to come back too. I guess this, look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get in here, folks. What do you say? Little game time decisions with you on this Saturday morning on SportsGrid. I am Kevin Walsh. We have a lot going on. Full Major League Baseball board, 3-pack of WNBA. The Travelers going on as well. I was very close to some outright bets. I hesitated. We'll get there in time. We have to talk some Stanley Cup final. We will do just that in a very, very brief moment. Some NBA headlines. Soccer world is abuzz. Euro's going on right now. More Euro action coming up in a bit. Copa America happening late night, as well as the World Series. College Baseball World Series in Omaha, Tennessee, Texas A&M. We go quick pick style, and we take a 1.5 with Texas A&M here against Tennessee. The -120 juice, not too much in my estimation here. When you look at each of these teams' paths, Tennessee has been almost as dominant as expected, but you pull back to their very first game of this tournament, and they were nearly beat. A walk-off saved it, no doubt. And for the Vols, I give them plenty of credit. It's hard to get here being the 1 seed or not. But Texas A&M's path, while it hasn't been as sexy, I think it's been arguably as dominant. In 3 games, they've allowed 3 runs. That is ridiculous. In a sport that always has juice, the total for this game is 11.5. Nobody has been able to plate runs against this Aggies team. And if we're going to go low scoring, you're going to be able to cover a run line here. That's what we're taking with Texas A&M. Side note, my oh my, was the SEC to win this tournament at -195 loot. Can't believe I didn't get involved. It is SEC versus SEC. Let's talk Stanley Cup final. And, man, this has been some series here. You see the path that we have taken to get to this spot where there is now a Game 7 with Edmonton and Florida. And this has been some series for me because I had 4 bets that were series long, and gradually they've just been picked off. The 1 pro Oilers bet, Leon Draisaitl for a point in each game. We lost that game 1. Edmonton was shut out. That was fine. My investments were more so on the Florida side, including 2 or more goals in every game of this series. Well, after a 3-0 lead, it looked great. Game 4 no-show. 9 goals, 8 of them belonged to Edmonton. That wager was gone. And while that was frustrating, my series spread bets for the Florida Panthers were looking incredible. They were shining as I had Florida minus a game and a half as a best bet and minus 2.5 games as a little bit of a ladder climb because I believe they were the better team. Well, then they lost game 5. And I was like, uh-oh, this isn't great. And I'm not necessarily someone who believes that, just because it goes back to the trailing team's building, they must win. I feel like we hear that too often. It's not that Florida didn't have a chance in the game against Edmonton, but boy, it feels like they don't have a chance when they don't score first. And the Oilers once again jumped on the Panthers and never looked back and forced that Game 7. And now I sit here in a series that after 3 games I thought I was money. I have no wagers left. I'm done. I'm out. I mean, unless you want to count my Evan Bouchard and Carter Verhaeghe Conn Smythe tickets, which have 0 chance, we now find ourselves empty pockets, nothing in them, as it pertains to the Stanley Cup final. And now we have the opportunity for some history to be made by the Edmonton Oilers, and you have the shortest money line of this series. Either location, really, with the Florida Panthers at home being minus 115 and Edmonton being minus 104. Little history lesson. We have seen teams come back from down 3-0 in the NHL's postseason history. And in fact, from kind of the American sports here, it is by far more frequent to happen in hockey than any other. Never happened in the NBA, once in baseball. Let's not talk about that. And then it's happened 4 times in the Stanley Cup final. It's happened multiple times in the 2000s, in fact. And the first ever time it happened in 1942, it was a Stanley Cup final 3-0 comeback. So we've seen it before. What about some history relating to these teams? Well, has Florida gone on a 4-game losing streak at all this year? Yes. Twice in the regular season, they went on a 4-game losing streak. Now, obviously, never was it to the same team, but it has happened. Edmonton had a fascinating year. They lost 10 of their first 12 hockey games this season. Fired a head coach. It was abysmal. But from that moment, they had 2 3-game losing streaks in the regular season. The response was an 8-game win streak and then a near record-setting 16-game win streak. So the Oilers winning 3 in a row is not only par for the course. Recent history says they'll win Game 7 and then rip off another 10 to open up next season. Edmonton has absolutely been incredible getting to this spot. As I said, I have no more futures left. And considering my futures were Florida dominant, better, and as true as it looked for it to now be here in a Game 7, I don't trust the Panthers as much. Obviously, how could I? But I do feel that there is one angle that I may ultimately take, and we'll see by the time we get to Monday's game, to bet the Panthers. And it's kind of eliminating the idea that this is a standoff event and reeling things back in. What do I mean by that? Instead of looking at it as Florida at minus 115 to win this game, think about the Panthers being minus 3,000 to win this series when it was 3-0. And I used this a few times in the NBA playoffs. When the Minnesota Timberwolves were going back home for Game 6 against Denver and lost Game 3 and 4 at home, I posed the question, hey, did you think that Minnesota was going to lose every single home game in this series? No? Bet the Timberwolves in Game 6. It worked out. Minnesota against Dallas, same story. Hey, did you think Dallas was going to sweep here in any world? No? Bet Minnesota in Game 4. It worked. Happened as well when Minnesota played Dallas when Dallas played Boston in the NBA Finals. I didn't think a sweep was on the board. And the Dallas didn't let a sweep be on the board. Did you think a 3-0 comeback was on the board? That's the number here to stop the 3-0 comeback. Again, we'll make that decision when we get there on Monday. But it feels like the decision for who will win the Conn Smythe has been made. As Connor McDavid's march towards history continues, and he is now Just one of two or three, guys, ever to have 40 or more points in a postseason. Now, this has been true before last game, but again, you look here, it's Wayne Gretzky, it's Mario Lemieux, it's Connor McDavid. Some would argue you are looking at the two greatest players in the history of this sport and McDavid, whose name could very well end up in that conversation. If you look, though, at the odds, they tell you that he's already done enough to win this award at minus 4,000. And to me, I think McDavid did enough before they even played Game 5. In the history of the Conn Smythe, 5 players have won this award. 5 without winning the Stanley Cup. But 2 of them happened in the first 4 years of the award's existence because apparently we had more nuance back in 1940. However, be careful. Now that we are here in a Game 7, I wonder if that will weigh heavier than anything else. And could a 40-save game from Bobrovsky or a 3-point game from Barkov steal it? It is, to me, on the board. We'll talk some baseball next. We're live with you on SportsGrid.
Help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
Won the Saudi Open on the Asian Tour in April, and he won the International Series event in Macau in March, beating David Puig in a playoff. Here's a man with 9 career wins, 3 of them on the DP World Tour. 33 years of age from Sacramento, and he is making the most of his chance.
I remember John Catlin playing as a reserve for Charles Howell III, who's injured. If he were to go on to win this, he gets those points. That would move him right at the top 24 number. Move him at 20th currently.
Yeah, another beautiful shot. These guys make this look so easy.
Having a day. The Englishman, 6 under par. He shares the lead with Abraham Ancer for the time being at least. Now this is Abraham Ancer to stay at 7 under and in all likelihood have the open night lead, and that is wonderfully done. Abe Ancer with a 64.
This is what Live Golf's about, man. I had a vision of this 2-3 years ago, seeing what the potential could be, and this is just the start. I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
All right, we're back to right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh with you on this Saturday. It is game time decisions. We have a jam-packed Major League Baseball board here. And again, anybody that's been rocking with me throughout the baseball season knows we let this board develop. I am what has been described to me as a lineup merchant, as I often wait for the 1 through 9 to get released before I like to fully be involved. Yesterday, shout out the Miami Marlins getting the job done, going up against Seattle. As low as it gets, team total of 2.5. They cleared that in extra innings against the Mariners. But I will just quickly say, before we get to today's games, as excited as I was, the Marlins team total was not the most important thing that happened. There, in fact, were a number of things that you could easily argue were more important. I think I would argue Shohei Ohtani hitting another home run was the most important thing. The fact that it came at a loss is irrelevant. I do not care. That is not how they decide the MVPs. And also, the Dodgers are still, of course, great, and the numbers are great, and all of it is great. We had, as a show, as a group, we have a lot of baseball guys that work here with us on Game Time Decisions. A conversation, a long one, about the MVP and trying to dissect the value between Ohtani and Marcell Ozuna. And I bring up Marcell Ozuna because for Atlanta, he has had this incredible season where it looks like he could potentially challenge for the Triple Crown. And at the time of the Mookie Betts injury, the sports books shoved Ohtani way up the board. Understandable. But Marcell didn't move a ton. He was sitting at 13-1. And there was an adjustment made. He went under 10-1. He's back at 12-1. Well, again, the argument on Marcell Ozuna was, what if he wins a Triple Crown? Well, that was about a week ago. Now, Shohei Ohtani is more likely to win a Triple Crown than Marcell Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna is respectfully completely out of this race, as is realistically everybody else in the National League. Shohei Ohtani is batting .322, and all that's good for is the Major League lead. Are you kidding me? He has 22 home runs, National League lead, and his 55 RBI is top 10 in the sport. And as far as National League RBI leaders go, Alec Bohm, Marcell Ozuna, that's your list. He is top 3 in batting average, home runs, and RBI in the National League, top 10 in every single one, and again, leads baseball in hitting. The knock on Ohtani, I would have thought, in winning this award, would be being a DH. Because you don't get any bonus points for fielding. The reality with Ohtani is, due to the rest of the field, it does not matter. Because last year's race highlighted Ronald Acuna Jr. and Mookie Betts, and Acuna, the preseason favorite, is out with a torn ACL, and Mookie Betts' injury that's going to sideline him for weeks is going to allow Ohtani to make up any gap that would have been there due to him not playing defense. So Ohtani is -110. Bryce Harper is +300. Then you have 3 guys at 12-1 in Freddie Freeman, Marcell Ozuna, and Fernando Tatis. If you look right now, Freeman, Marcell, and Harper are inside the top 10 in wins above replacement. Freddie Freeman is at 2.9, Bryce Harper at 2.8, Marcell Ozuna is at 2.6. Shohei Ohtani is at 4.3. So, as far as the baseball card, it says Ohtani. As far as the advanced numbers, it says Ohtani. As far as the star power, it says Ohtani. As far as the team success goes, I mean, you want to argue that the Phillies have more team success? You would be correct. They have a better record. I don't know if they're projected to finish with the better record still at this point. And also, do they have the better record entirely because of Bryce Harper, or is that maybe more to do with the pitching? At the end of the day, what we're looking at right now, for me, is Shohei Ohtani feeling runaway style. And that -110 is a number that's only going to get away from us. Because while I believe that -110 in June on an MVP can be a strong number, it's not the strongest MVP number. That's Aaron Judge's -130. And I think that Aaron Judge is having an otherworldly season. Anybody does, because he is. A .301 batting average with 27 homers and 67 RPI, leading the sport in OPS, has been absolutely brilliant. But Aaron Judge in the American League is at 5.2 for wins above replacement. Behind him is Juan Soto at a 4. The only problem is Judge isn't first. That's Gunnar Henderson at 5.8. And oh, by the way, loss column check, the Orioles are in first in the American League East. I'm not telling you Judge shouldn't be the favorite. I'm not telling you he should be much lower than minus 130, even if I think arguably he should be lower. What I'm telling you is Shohei has a cleaner argument, I think, right now in the National League than Judge does in the American League, and Ohtani's the shorter number. I'm eyeing up that minus 110. It's not going to be there forever. It's just not. I know I said we're going to get to the baseball board. Look, a couple of spots that I'm highlighting here. And again, we'll find our props, our totals, and whatnot. But a few just key, again, positions to take a look at here. Royals a little tempting as a dog. Pirates tempting as a favorite. A's tempting as a dog. And then I'm very fascinated on what to do with another Nicky Pivetta start. Very clearly becoming one of my favorite players in baseball to bet on. We're going to let that baseball board develop as we always do, weekend style here. Coming up next, we'll talk some Travelers. We'll talk some Euros. We'll get you in the mix here on this Saturday of Kevin Walsh Game Time Decisions. We'll be right back.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
Won the Saudi Open on the Asian Tour in April, and he won the International Series event in Macau in March, beating David Puig in a playoff. Here's a man with 9 career wins, 3 of them on the DP World Tour. 33 years of age from Sacramento, and he is making the most of his chance.
I remember John Catlin playing as a reserve for Charles Howell III, who's injured. If he were to go on to win this, he gets those points. That would move him right at the top 24 number. Move him at 20th currently.
Yeah, another beautiful shot. These guys making this look so easy.
So having a day. The Englishman 6 under par. He shares the lead with Abraham Ancer for the time being at least. Now this is Abraham Ancer to stay at 7 under and in all likelihood have the open night lead, and that is wonderfully done. Abe Ancer with a 64.
This is what Live Golf's about, man. I had a vision of this 2-3 years ago, seeing what the potential could be, and this is just the start. I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
All right, we're back to right here. It's Game Time Decisions. Happy to have you with us on this Saturday. Let me jump quickly into the Euros because we've got some picks to put on the board. And then I'll talk a little bit of Travelers with whatever time is next. Brady Cannon is right around the corner. Very, very excited to talk to him because I was very close to pulling the trigger this morning on a few things. I backed off. Did Rory McIlroy make me gun shy is what people are asking. I hope the answer is no, but I'll be honest. It is possible. The answer is yes. Again, let's talk a little Euro 2024. Earlier this morning, we saw some action. But the big game today is probably Portugal and Turkey. Both of these teams won their opening game. Portugal, one of the favorites, of course, having Cristiano Ronaldo in this tournament is always going to be big. I'm going to go for just make it simply, over 16.5 shots for Portugal at minus 105. It's on FanDuel. It's listed at 17 plus. They had 19 in their first match. Turkey in their opening match allowed 14 to Georgia, obviously a far different caliber side. And I think for Portugal, I don't know how happy they really were with that opening performance that we saw from them against Czechia. So a 2-1 result there. I think it could have been better. I know that there were 7 saves made in that game, but all in all, I think you'll see Portugal continue to put shots on net here against Turkey. I struggled with the result and the total. Turkey's a lot of just ebbs and flows, right? Not like great wins, bad losses, clean sheets, give up a ton of goals. It just didn't necessarily find a rhythm when breaking down their results there, but I felt solid about the 17-plus shots market for Portugal. And then the other bet's simply going to be an under here in Belgium-Romania. While maybe it's not the biggest game on today's board, it's the most important. If you look yesterday, Ukraine got a win against Slovakia, who upset Belgium in the opening game for those teams in group play. And the group standings are now 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. Belgium, a minus 170 pre-tournament favorite to win this group, 0 points. 0. So a win would go a long way for Belgium. Depending on how much they would win by, they could potentially go to first. At worst, they'd go to second. And that's great. A draw would be huge for Romania and could be disastrous for Belgium. So you have a very interesting spot here. I like under because Romania could play for a draw. They're not going to want to be overly aggressive. And for Belgium, this is a group who prior to the game against Slovakia, where they did give up the goal, had held 5 of their prior 6 opponents heading into this tournament goalless, with the only team scoring against them being England. So I think the back line steps up here. I don't think this is some 3, 4, 5 type of goal game from Belgium. And I think we play this one under the 2.5. 1-0 Belgium feels right to me. I don't think this is going to be a super high-scoring game. Let's talk a little Travelers. So I like to kind of start with this, and I think everybody's different in how they try and cap it. If I can, love to look at the leaderboard, guess what we're going to see then on the odds board. It's tough sometimes to get the prices right, but if you can at least kind of get the order down. Tom Kim right now is your clubhouse leader, minus 13. Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, and then Akshay are all 2 back at 11 under. Xander, 10 under. That's your top 5. Now, Shane Lowry, Justin Thomas, Sungjae Im at 9 under, 8 under, Robert McIntyre, Tom Hoagie, and Tony Finau. There's some good names here, right? This isn't one of those tournament where it's like, all right, look, we got 3 guys, and they're the only 3 worth discussing. But when you look at the top 5, you have pedigree names. Tom Kim in front. Akshay's a guy that we've heard a lot more about. So it's going to be, we knew the odds would be interesting. So then when you start to pull it in, Scotty's the favorite was expected. At plus 190, a little bit more than I had anticipated. I thought Colin Morikawa would be booked in front of Tom Kim. Tom Kim is either in front or at worst, same odds as Morikawa. Colin then in front of Xander Schauffele, who's in front of Akshay, but by a lot. We're going to talk with Brady Cannon in a moment. Here's what I would say. I think there's too much separation between Scotty and Morikawa in the outright market, and I think there's way too much separation between Akshay and Xander in the outright market. So I considered Colin at plus 450. I considered Akshay at 12-1. I didn't place either bet. Is that because I am scared? Or is it because this is a tough tournament to still get a read on? We're going to get some help from Brady Cannon with those answers next right here on Game Time Decisions.
Nashville, help me welcome to U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
Won the Saudi Open on the Asian Tour in April, and he won the International Series event in Macau in March, beating David Puig in a playoff. Here's a man with 9 career wins, 3 of them on the DP World Tour. 33 years of age from Sacramento, and he is making the most of his chance.
I remember John Catlin playing as a reserve for Charles Howell III, who's injured. If he were to go on to win this, he gets those points. That would move him right at the top 24 number. Move him at 20th currently.
Yeah, another beautiful shot. These guys make this look so easy.
So having a day. The Englishman 6 under par. He shares the lead with Abraham Ancer for the time being, at least. Now this is Abraham Ancer to stay at 7 under and in all likelihood have the open night lead, and that is wonderfully done. Abe Ancer with a 64.
This is what Live Golf's about, man. I had a vision of this 2-3 years ago, seeing what the potential could be, and this is just the start. I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
Back right here, Game Time Decisions, live on this Saturday. Kevin Walsh with you, joined by Brady Cannon, which means we have to talk some golf. However, Brady Cannon, who does always stay locked into the golf board, but is certainly a man with reach. And, Brady, you're out there right now getting set for apparently everybody's favorite event, the College World Series.
Yeah, I am so excited. It was something that has been on my radar for a number of years. And I've always done this other midsummer activity where my family and what have you, friends, we took a trip to Colorado. And, you know, this year I said, I'm finally going to bite the bullet and go to the College World Series. So here I am in Omaha, Nebraska, getting ready for game 1 between Texas A&M and Tennessee. I am holding a ticket on A&M to win it all. My heart's kind of with the Volunteers, but my money is with the Aggies. So ought to be a ton of fun.
Listen, I am rolling with A&M myself today. Took them plus the 1.5. I thought that their run to this College World Series was impressive. 3 runs allowed in 3 games total. And it's, again, a sport that every total is usually double digits. I thought was super impressive. We'll see how it plays out. But, Brady, let's talk some golf. And people heard me kind of belabor. I've been thinking about doing stuff. I've done nothing. So I'm a man without a home right now. Tell me, what have you done, if anything, so far in this Travelers?
Well, pre-tournament, I played Tom Kim, so I'm feeling very good about that.
Okay.
My other pre-tournament outrights were Tommy Fleetwood, Sepp Straka, and Corey Connors. Straka and Connors really probably completely out of it. Fleetwood still a long shot, but probably not completely done. He'd have to go nuts the next couple days. And really all of them are in position to possibly hit a top 20 finish. I played that as well, obviously, especially Fleetwood. And Kim, I'm just, you know, it looked great the first day. I love the way he rebounded after going so low. You know how this goes, Kevin. I mean, he shot a 62 on day 1. Oftentimes you're not able to go low for a second straight day. And he came back and shot a 65. So I'm pretty impressed with that. You know, he's doing everything extremely well. There's not really an outlier. The putter's going well. You know, the greens in regulation, the strokes gained approach off the tee. It's just been really solid for Tom Kim. But now you've got Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, and Xander Schauffele in the mix as well. And, of course, don't forget about Akshay Bhatia. So I really think it's those 5 guys at the top of the board right now, because you know how this goes. The last couple of weeks, it hasn't been this way. Scotty Scheffler won at 8 under for the Memorial. Bryson DeChambeau won at 6 under for the U.S. Open. Last year here at the Travelers, the winning score was 23 under par. I think we might get there again. And when you have a birdie fest, the guys don't come back to the pack. It just becomes a track meet.
Yeah.
So I really think it's probably these 5 guys over the next 2 days.
So Brady's insight there is, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm willing to don't put in the papers I'm scared. I don't know if I need to bet anyone today. When you bet pre-tournament like Brady did on a Tom Kim, or even if you bet Morikawa at 16, whatever it might be, those are much bigger numbers. The Colin number at plus 450. How much shorter is it realistic for Colin Morikawa to be Saturday to Sunday? Again, a birdie fest, certainly. Yesterday, if you look at it, he shot 7 under. Is he going to do that again? Let's say he shoots 5 under, which is reasonable and kind of the projected score for the top guys here for, 3 under, 4 under, 5 under. Let's say he shoots a 5 under, which would be incredible. Well, Scotty's still supposed to shoot that range, right? Tom Kim doesn't need to have a great day to still stay right inside, if not in front of a 5 under day from Colin. Akshay has the same exact score, and all of his numbers check the box. This isn't some fraudulent run out of Akshay. And Xander, who of this group I like the least, I think of the top 5, I feel at the moment he's having the least impressive tournament, Brady. But we know Xander has a 62 in his bag at any tournament, especially one like this. So that's what's leading to my hesitation on the live board, and maybe why the Akshay number caught my attention a little bit at a 12-1, because I think you're going to still have, of these 5 guys, at least 3 of them, all live heading into Sunday.
Yep, I would agree with you. I think the number on Akshay is very nice at 12-1, and this guy is absolutely a rising star in this game. He won earlier this year in Texas. He's got all the tools. You see his putting stats are great. The short game is very good. What worries me, though, is the approach game. He ranks, now remember, there's only 70 players in this field right now, and he is 40th for strokes gained approach and 23rd for greens in regulation. So when you're struggling, hitting the greens and your approach game is not where it should be, that kind of tells you that the putter is keeping him in this thing. And you know how we feel about that situation, because the putter can go sour at any moment. And if your approach game's not there either, then you're in trouble. Tom Kim, he is 4th in this field for strokes gained approach and 2nd for greens in regulation. He's 3rd in putting, but when you're that dialed in with the irons, the putting becomes easier. It's similar for Scotty Scheffler. He's 4th off the tee, 11th on approach, number 1 in greens in regulation, 11th in putting. Morikawa, first of all, I worry a little bit about the 63 that he shot yesterday. How's he going to bounce back after half of that outlier type round? The stats are a little weird. He's 5th in putting, but he's 26th in strokes gained approach. So if I'm going to land on Morikawa, I'd probably wait another day to see what he does, even though I think the price is very good on him right now. I'm not quite sure where he goes from here off of what he's done so far and off of that low round yesterday. I think the price is very good on Tom Kim. Like you said, he could have a relatively pedestrian day and still be maybe tied for the lead. I think he's okay. Scotty, the stats are real nice, but I don't think the price is fair at this point at less than
Totally
2-1. Yeah. And Xander, I think, 6-1 surprised me. It was earlier this morning I saw plus 450 and I was not in favor of that. 6-1 is a pretty decent price, but you're right. His stats have been kind of pedestrian. He's not really showing me anything yet. If I just had to bet on price at this point, Kevin, I would take a shot with Batia, Morikawa, and Kim. You said 3 of the 5 guys will probably be there. I think you got a good shot with those 3 being there on Sunday.
And so this tournament, from what I can certainly gather, and I ended up doing like more pre-tournament looks on the Travelers than the Open the other weekend. It's just weird how I think the Open kind of sucked me in. And nevertheless, putting is going to matter. So if you look right now, the top 5 guys we're talking about, strokes gained putting throughout the first 2 rounds, the only guy who's not top 6 is Scotty because, of course, he's still 11th. So you have to be very good with the putter. To your point on Morikawa, I think the reason I have the hesitation is the 63 yesterday. But one of the driving forces of why I want to bet Colin is why I jumped in on Xander live back at the PGA is he is too good to be around the win this long and not break through is how I feel about Colin. However, if Scotty's here, I can't say that with full chest. If you remove Scotty from this tournament, I would have the bet on Morikawa. I know the price would be different, but Scotty coming off of what he did last week is, of course, going to be on a mission. I don't want to let anything you're going to say get cut short. Brady's going to stick around. We're not going to only talk about the guys at the top. I want to talk Ludwig Aberg. I want to talk about maybe the next Ludwig Oiberg, excuse me. I know I'm bad with the name. Because there's another golfer out there who perhaps you're not familiar with, who is better than 3-1 right now to finish top 20, and is a name you're going to become familiar with. We'll talk about that next right here on Game Time Decisions.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
Won the Saudi Open on the Asian Tour in April, and he won the International Series event in Macau in March, beating David Puig in a playoff. Here's a man with 9 career wins, 3 of them on the DP World Tour. 33 years of age from Sacramento, and he is making the most of his chance.
I remember John Catlin playing as a reserve for Charles Howell III, who's injured. If he were to go on to win this, he gets those points. That would move him right at the top 24 number. Move him at 20th currently.
Yeah, another beautiful shot. These guys make this look so easy.
Tyrrell having a day. The Englishman 6 under par. He shares the lead with Abraham Ancer for the time being at least. Now this is Abraham Ancer to stay at 7 under and in all likelihood have the open night lead, and that is wonderfully done. Abe Ancer with a 64.
This is what Live Golf's about, man. I had a vision of this 2-3 years ago, seeing what the potential could be, and this is just the start. I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
All right, back right here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. I want to talk Ludwig Oiberg a little bit here. Aubert, forgive me. I'm bad with all names. It's just kind of a thing. I couldn't say Brian Dable for the first year that he was coaching the Giants. Ludwig is someone, Brady, that I invested in off of round 1. And I did my finishing position parlays. It was he and Colin for top 20s, which I think it's fair to call Colin in the bag. But basically now the current Ludwig prices are the prices that I have due to putting them together. He had what I think would be accurately described as a bad day. The thing for Ludwig is it's easy to figure out what went wrong. Can't putt right now. Everything else is great. He just can't putt, which puts you behind the 8 ball in a tournament like this. Is he too far behind the 8 ball to make a challenge? Are there finishing positions you think you would be interested in with a guy who is still one of the top choices heading into this tournament?
You know what worries me about Oberg, Kevin, and it did early in the week too, as far as betting an outright on him. I had an outright on him pre-tournament at the U.S. Open, and it looked like a pretty good play for a minute. We did cash a top 20 on him. He had a nice run there. And I wonder if that that is going to take a lot of energy out of anybody. And especially Oberg playing in just his 3rd major championship. He was there with a taste of the lead for a minute. And you know what happened is the recreational bettor, everybody went to the window and bet him again this week. Everybody stayed away from Scotty. I thought it was very funny. You know, the world's best golfer, the guy that we've been throwing accolades at for months now, and he has one, bad 4 days at Pinehurst, and all of a sudden everybody's given up on him. And I said, look out. Here comes this guy. He's going to be right back in Scotty form, and he's going to lap the field again when nobody wants a piece of him. But while they stayed away from Scotty, they jumped on everybody that they saw perform very well last week, and that included Oberg and Hideki Matsuyama and some of the other guys there that were at the top of the leaderboard. Patrick Cantlay got a lot of attention this week. So I tried to find guys that were a little bit more under the radar, the guys that had good weeks at Pinehurst, but weren't necessarily in contention, but have been in good form for the last couple of months. And that's how I landed on Tom Kim, who hasn't missed a cut in a couple of months. Tommy Fleetwood, finished strong at not only the U.S. Open, but the Canadian Open. Corey Connors, 2 top 10 finishes in his last 3 starts. And Sepp Straka has become that sexy pick for the majors, trying to find that diamond in the rough. I'm going to take Sepp Straka at 80-1. Well, you know what? Sepp Straka is still a very good player. And I actually think the skill sets for this course, TPC River Highlands, are kind of similar to what was needed at Pinehurst. So I took those 4 guys, and like I say, I played them for a top 20 finish as well. And I stayed away from those guys that were really in the thick of it last week, because I think that could be mentally and physically exhausting. And maybe we're seeing it show up for Ludwig Oberg.
Yeah, I think that is certainly plausible. I think for him specifically, this tournament, I think he can still finish top 20. I think he will personally still finish top 20. But to everything we've kind of said, you're just too far back at a tournament like this. He's 9 back of Tom Kim, whose projected finishing score would probably be 18, 19 under. And it could be better than that, right? So you're asking Ludwig to shoot, double 7 unders, just it'd be really, really tough. Nevertheless, I mentioned the next Ludwig, and it's from what I hear more than what I see. I don't pretend to be listen, I'm certainly not a golf prospect guy, but Michael Thorne Borson, and I mean, if you thought I was saying the other names bad, is someone who is supposed to be incredible, and sometimes these guys can hit quickly. He was I think 24 heading into the day, right around that range, sitting at plus 360 for a top 20 at 4 under. Well, he's 2 holes into the day. He's now 6 under, and his top 20 price is on the move, but still plus 190. Brady, have you heard about this kid, and do you have any thoughts on him here?
Yeah, I've just heard about him superficially. I have not dived into him an incredible amount yet, but yes, I have heard his name surface recently. He was at the top of the PGA Tour University rankings in 2024, so that earns him his PGA Tour card for the rest of the season. So there's going to be more opportunity to learn about this kid, bet on this kid. He's going to be in some tournaments going forward. I believe he's in this event because he finished 4th. It was either last year or the year before that he finished 4th here. Now, he was still an amateur at that time, so he didn't collect any cash, but that's maybe what got him an invite into this field again, and obviously taking advantage of it. A decorated amateur career, a number of great finishes, U.S. Amateur, U.S. Opens, all of that type of stuff, junior amateur, played collegiately at Stanford. yes, we understand that this kid is supposed to be the real deal. Oberg was another guy that won the Ben Hogan Award, best college golfer in America twice. People that win it twice are unheard of. The only guy to do that in the last 35 years is John Rahm. Scotty Scheffler, we knew was a force coming out of college, but there's been just as many other guys that we thought were going to jump on the scene. Davis Riley was a guy that was highly touted. Now, he's not a shabby player, but he's not Oberg or Scheffler. So, I think you have to let this thing breathe a little bit and see where it plays out for Thor Bjornsson.
It'll be very interesting to watch follow. Quickly, Brady, before we let you go, anyone else we should keep our eye on here? I thought Denny McCarthy was interesting.
Well, it's kind of cool to see Justin Thomas starting to show again. And that's probably what I would keep my eye on, because he's had an up and down year. He played well at the PGA and then not so much at the US Open. He's really been up and down and all over the map. So he's Justin Thomas. That hasn't changed. So, playing outrights and futures, it's all about timing. So if you can figure out the right timing on JT, there might be a spot where he wins a tournament coming up sooner or later this year.
Certainly plausible, certainly stuff we will be keeping our eyes on. As always, great stuff there from Brady Cannon. Enjoy the College World Series, Brady. We'll be right back talking some NBA rumors next.
Nashville, help me welcome to the stage the captain of Crushers GC and the 2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
Won the Saudi Open on the Asian Tour in April, and he won the International Series event in Macau in March, beating David Puig in a playoff. Here's a man with 9 career wins, 3 of them on the DP World Tour. 33 years of age from Sacramento, and he is making the most of his chance.
I remember John Catlin playing as a reserve for Charles Howell III, who's injured. If he were to go on to win this, he gets those points. That would move him right at the top 24 number. Move him at 20th currently.
Yeah, another beautiful shot. This guy's making this look so easy.
Having a day. The Englishman 6 under par. He shares the lead with Abraham Answer for the time being, at least. Now this is Abraham Answer to stay at 7 under and in all likelihood have the open night lead, and that is wonderfully done. Abe Answer with a 64.
This is what Live Golf's about, man. I had a vision of this 2-3 years ago, seeing what the potential could be, and this is just the start. I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
We're back to right here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. Coach James Young will be stopping by in a bit. We'll talk some WNBA card with Coach. We'll talk some NBA rumor mill as well. The fellas on Betting Above the Rim take over in a little more than an hour away as well. So make sure you're with us here on SportsGrid on this Saturday as we get you set for everything going on in the basketball world. But as I said, the rumor mill is a buzz. And with the draft upcoming, you can certainly get involved here if you'd like on first pick, second pick. I'm going back and forth on the best way to play. Let's talk it through here. So Alexander Sarr is being viewed as a, quote, lock to go second overall to the Washington Wizards. Well, that number's clearly on the move. This number yesterday, I saw that information via a tweet of Evan Sidery. Maybe about 5 minutes, he put that into the world. And I went and checked, and it was minus 250 on Sarr to go second. What was interesting is the first pick was much shorter. It was Richer at minus 115, which, if you think about it, we know who's going second, but we don't know who's going first. That doesn't equate. But it speaks to what we had been hearing earlier in the process, which is Sarr doesn't. So they're saying Sarr wants to go to Washington. I think a better label would be Sarr doesn't want to go to Atlanta. With, again, respect to the Wizards, I completely I can't get to the idea that Alexander, like if the Wizards were picking fourth, he'd be like, no, I need to fall to 4. I'm just not buying that. Maybe there's a connection I'm missing, but again, I'm not buying it. And that Sarr number that's now up to minus 480 on FanDuel's 550 on DraftKings. Again, it looks as if essentially the score has been tweeted out. The up in the air portion of this then is, will Zachary Richer go first, or will it be Donovan Clingan? Again, I said Richer at the time was minus 115. That number now minus 165 on FanDuel. Donovan Clingan checks in at plus 175. There was a bet just the other day on Klingan's over-under draft position. It was 2.5. But now we basically know he's not going second. Could he go first? Well, that draft position is now moved to 3.5. What's very interesting, as we sit here on this Saturday, if you look at the reports, we know who's going first, second, and third. Richer, Sarr, Reed. You can bet first 3 draft picks exact order. That pays out plus 180. I don't hate the investment, and I much prefer it than laying juice on any of the individual options, because they're all connected. It's all a domino. So I think that's a better approach for me. I think that if all of a sudden Clingan does go 1, what if the Wizards change their opinion and go Richer at 2, who we heard that much earlier in the process they were a big fan of? So I think we want to be careful kind of with this, and I have not made any investments myself just yet in this market. Again, we can get into this in a little bit with Coach. By the way, again, always shop around, and maybe I will get involved with this. I'm going to consider it, and I'll let you know. That plus 180 number is plus 250 over on DK. Richer, Sarr, Reed. That could be worth it. Again, we may click on that before we leave here today. I want to sneak something else in. Jimmy Butler. So the other day kind of went around that Howard Beck, longtime NBA reporter, believes Jimmy Butler is going to be traded. Now, I know aggregation is tough. Howard Beck proceeded to tweet, predictions aren't reports. Okay, fair enough, Howard. But, again, you didn't give me an NBA Finals prediction. You didn't give me an MVP prediction. You gave me a trade prediction. It's based on what you're hearing. You think Jimmy's going to get traded. It's okay. Own it. If it doesn't happen, nobody's going to crush Howard Beck. But it's on the board that Jimmy Butler leaves the Miami Heat, and this is the kind of move that will shift odds. There are 2 places I know for sure we've seen connected to Jimmy Butler. One is the Philadelphia 76ers. That's been going on for a while. The chance to rewrite history when they apparently chose Tobias Harris over him. And the other is the Golden State Warriors, which would be a fascinating move, but either would certainly short those prices. Again, we'll get into that in a little bit. We've got Dave Showerpan stopping by next here on a Saturday morning.
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out.